Sir, may I request you to stay back, Mr. Minister, sir. The Emerge 50 list felicitates our startups and emerging companies to watch out for. We request you to please log into product.nasscom.in for details of these companies. Bangalore is the startup capital for India, and Mr. Kharge, along with a very proactive team of Ms. Manjula and Ms. Deb Burman, is doing a phenomenal job of promoting the startups. A big thank you to you, sir, from NASSCOM, and may I now request you to say a few words, please.
Ellarigu namaskara. Good evening to all of you, and it's my pleasure to be here at the NASSCOM Product Enclave. And firstly, before I start anything on startups and disruptions, I'd like to thank NASSCOM for being our long-term and trusted partners in almost all our initiatives in the startup cell or in the IT and BT department. And thank you for having me over. And I would really take this opportunity to also thank Mr. Ravi Guraj personally for bearing with all my ideas of open startup houses and sitting with us for the entire day, which I think you'll have to do every month. So I never got an opportunity to thank you on a platform, so thank you very much. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware here. Besides donning the hat as a Minister for IT and BT, I also have another avatar as a Minister of Tourism. So when my team and I were brainstorming a couple of months back, we realized that the story of Bengaluru has never been told. We have a rich history of close to 500 years that needed to reach out to people to instill a sense of pride in them. So of late, what I noticed that we have been treating Bengaluru as an investment destination, but not as a tourist destination. So we decided to set up a Bengaluru Tourism Advisory Committee to tell the story of Bengaluru and help people experience and explore Bengaluru better. So don't worry, I'm not giving a tourism perspective. I'm just trying to tell you how it is connected to innovation. So when we had our first meeting, we listed out Bengaluru's identities. So as most of you are aware, Bengaluru has been known for many of her identities. We have known her as a pensioner's paradise, lake city, pub city, science city, garden city, of late Silicon Valley of India, and now more recently we are also called the startup city and the innovation city. So we were trying to see how each of these identities can be developed as a city circuit, tourist circuit. And we were discussing each and everything in detail. So how do we make a heritage trail out of Bengaluru? So everybody was quite fascinated that the city had so much to offer in each of these verticals and in each of her identities. We decided to have heritage trails, colonial trails, eco trails, wildlife trails, pub gastro trails, a culinary trail, and so on and so forth. So what is interesting is that one of the members got up and said, like, sir, I think, Mr. Minister, that we also need to have an innovation trail. So quite naturally, everybody at the this thing was quite taken aback because we just got the innovation tag, innovation city and the startup city quite tag very recently. So we were wondering what exactly was the innovation trail. So the member went on to add that Bengaluru has always been the cradle of innovation, and it is a giant petri dish that has innovation in its DNA and has been the hub of innovation of entrepreneurship. I'm not sure how many of you over here have actually seen Bengaluru actually, really, if you've gone and seen a couple of the old petes, the Chamraj Pete, the Chik Pete, where Kempegowda actually started this wonderful city. So the earliest descriptions and references to the building of the old city in 1537 indicate that the city's spatial organization was planned to position Bengaluru as a commercial center. It was established to accommodate mercantile populations from regions around Bengaluru. The fort was then later constructed around it to provide a stable environment for businesses and commercial activities and attract migrant artisans, trading and business communities to populate the place. A thriving informal economy still exists in Old Bengaluru today and is the largest wholesale market area in Bengaluru today and is a significant source of revenue generation for the BBMP in the city. You might find it surprising that Bengaluru had rocket workshops in the 18th century, so which is nothing but your NASSCOM product enclave this thing. So long before other countries in the West were trying to create the convergence rocket, the much controversial figure now, that is Tipu Sultan, now he's become, was a military genius actually. So he was experimenting with rocket projectile technology and what is now called the SP road. So from having, and apparently what I'm told, or what I've read in one of the books was that SP road was previously called the Taramandal Pete. So the reason for that was that where during these experiments of the rocket experiments, the entire sky would light up with these explosives and these different, with the lighting of the rockets. So it was called Taramandal Pete that time, and now it's called SP road. So that time we had a different kind of technology breeding in Taramandal Pete, but now SP road breeds a different kind of technology. Now I don't know how many of you, I think all the startups know what you get in SP road now. So, but it was not like that before. Apparently it had a carbine factory, a gunpowder foundry, a rocket making foundry, and many such workshops 250 years back. So I'm not sure that if, I think most of you have also visited the classic heritage hotel in Bangalore, West End. So back then I think it was called the Bronson's Hotel. And it was here in the West End Hotel that the Nobel laureate Sir Ronald Ross, who was a superintending surgeon at Bowring Hospital, wrote his thesis on the relationship between the Anopheles mosquito and the malaria way back in 1897. So that was the malaria, the discovery of malaria, this thing, and that happened in Bangalore itself. So besides that, we also had a galvanometer workshop set up in Bengaluru as early as 1857 for building the telegraph network in the entire South India. Bengaluru also houses premier research institutes like Indian Institute of Science, where Nobel laureates like Sir C.V. Raman and Max Born taught, and scientists like Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba inspired. We have also worked on creating World War II winning technology as well. The weapon that was used to blast trenches from a distance was used extensively in World War II, was invented by Captain McClintock, I guess, in the cantonment area near Alsur in Bangalore, and quite rightly, that torpedoes were called the Bangalore torpedoes. So if you have seen the classic by Steven Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan, you can actually see Tom Hanks with a Bengaluru torpedo written very big on that. So we've always been the city of innovation. So we were the first city to be electrified in Asia. We are also the knowledge capital with the IISc and the C.V. Raman Institute being the anchors. We are pioneers in aerospace with NAL, HAL, and ISRO adorning the city. There is a whole host of things that I can tell you about Bengaluru and innovation. But the point I'm trying to make here is that Bengaluru has always been an innovative city, and it seems to be in our DNA to create. So that's why I see so many people from all over India coming to Bangalore to create and collaborate. We have always been, Karnataka has always been early adapters, and I would like to very proudly say that Bengaluru has always kept up with times and technology to become one of the fastest growing cities, not only in India, but in the world. Capgemini says we are the 5th most preferred location for MNCs to house their innovation centers. We have always been the torchbearer for the technology revolution in India, and we have always led from the front in pure sciences, information technology, biotechnology, geographical information systems, and aerospace technology as well. So the government of Karnataka firmly believes that it's not about ideas, but it's about making the ideas happen. So Karnataka was the first state in the country to come up with an IT policy way back in 1999-2000, and that vision of ours has today catapulted us to being the biggest technology cluster in the world. So the Global Startup Ecosystem Ranking Report 2015 says that Bengaluru is a home to more than 5,000 active startups with an average valuation of $3.3 million. And Bengaluru is the fastest growing ecosystem in the world, and it is probably ranked 13 in the world ecosystem, and we are the only city in India to be ranked in the world ecosystem as well. So we take immense pride in the fact that our ecosystem is so good that the Bengaluru startups in the last 2 years have raised close to $1 billion. The objective of the state is to ensure that that Bengaluru maintains the lead position in the country and to develop other tier 2 cities as well for startup destinations. And in our endeavor to achieve this, we have envisaged the country's first multi-sector startup policy under which we shall encourage 20,000 startups, of which 6,000 will be product-based startups. And I think probably if it's going to be such a big number, I think we will need NASSCOM to engage with us on a longer front, especially if these kind of conclaves will help us look for product-based startups and how we can ensure that that vertical also thrives. And to encourage innovation in the private sector, we have also partnered with global and homebred accelerators and incubators to set up world-class incubation centers and accelerators on PPP basis. We have 610 seats across our 4 incubators, and more than 70 companies have graduated from our incubators so far. So Karnataka was also the first state to draw up a startup policy, and it has helped Bengaluru remain the #1 startup ecosystem in India. And to ensure that we stay on top, we have now come up with India's first startup cell, a cell dedicated to facilitate startups registered in Karnataka. The cell have nodal and startup relation officers to directly assist entrepreneurs. The state has achieved a major milestone in the startup revolution by announcing the Startup Booster Kit. This booster kit will help resolve most of the initial hiccups faced by an entrepreneur. We have opened up the entire government system for startups, and an entrepreneur can avail a whole gamut of services and incentives of the government sitting anywhere in Karnataka. Under the Startup Booster Kit, we provide the subsidized cloud services, subsidized software, affordable data plans for internet, software testing tools, incubation facilities, tax incentives, and patent intensives. Besides that, we also have finance, accounting, and legal help within our empanelment, and also mentorship, marketing, and networking opportunities also are provided by the startup cell. Besides these two, the two most important things that the startup cell is also doing is that, one, we are validating an idea. 2, we are also trying to fund these ideas. So furthermore, I'll give you an example what I mean by saying we are validating an idea. So recently, during our first open house, so by the way, we run India's first startup open house, where the government and the startups sit face to face and try to see how we can solve their problems. It could be policy matters, it could be legal help, it could be funding, or it could be probably just a presentation to the government to see what we can do. So what happened in the first startup house is there was this a gentleman who had come with an hardware which is linked to an app. So what this hardware does is it apparently sits within the engine of the two-wheeler bikes, and it's linked with an app, so you can track your bike. So tracking your bike is not a big thing, but it tells you if there are sudden jerky movements on the bike, or let's say you're parked in a no parking zone and it's being taken away by a cop, it sort of alerts you because there are heavy jerks to the bike. And more importantly, if your bike is stolen, besides tracking, you can immobilize the engine. So so the bike is immobilized, and he cannot, the thief of course cannot take it anywhere. So hopefully he will leave the bike there and go and not take the tires and everything else, and they may take it to the junkyard. So he did not have access to the manufacturers, of course. So he did not come to us for funding, but he said, like, how do I get access? I'm a startup. TVSs, the Mahindras, the Hondas, the Bajajes, it's very difficult to get in. I think it's easier to access the governments than these big corporate giants. So what we did was, luckily, we had the Invest Karnataka meet the following day, and I requested one of the leading auto manufacturers, saying that there is this company that is incubating with us, if you could actually have a look. So they were probably in a week's time, they called him to their R&D department in Bangalore, and they evaluated the software, they evaluated the app, they evaluated the hardware, they asked pretty tough questions. But the point is, in less than a month and a half, they're actually testing in their R&D facility. So this is what we are trying to do. So like how we are doing disruptions in technology, we are also trying to disrupt the ecosystem, but more creatively. So That's what I meant by validation of an idea. So if you have an idea that can be validated by the government or within the government sector or within a private sector, if we can help, it's not that always the private sector listens to the government, so but at least we can give it a try. So besides that, we also have the most important, one of the most creative funds in the country is that's the Idea to POC fund, wherein we fund close to 50 lakhs to see if it's to see if we give you money to develop prototypes. So the government funds you for POC validations, certifications, besides covering costs in manufacturing of pilot devices. We have raised close to around 400 crores as India's first multi-sector fund that helps startups in agriculture to aerospace. We intend to raise 2,000 crores by the end of the policy, making us the country's biggest multi-sector venture capitalist. So 2 months back, we had only 25 to 30 startups registered in the government. But after the startup booster kit and the startup cell, you will be quite surprised that close to 2,000 startups are now registered with the government. So that itself is a big thing, and now we did not expect such a big response. Now we don't know what to do with the 2,000 startups. So now we need to figure out a way how we can help them in mentoring, how we can help them in funding, how we can help them in any little way we can. So another interesting aspect of the startup cell is the state intends to use the vibrant startup environment to drive innovation through use of technology to find workable and scalable solutions to challenges faced by the government. The Grand Challenges is an initiative under the state's startup policy aimed at looking for new technologies or innovations that can offer solutions to some of the long-standing issues pertaining to the state of Karnataka. The winners will automatically qualify for incubation space in our incubators, which is supported by the government. Under the program, 5 calls will be launched every year covering important priority areas for the government like urban development, agriculture, health, education, amongst other things. So I think we have already launched 3 challenges as of now. So if there are any startups, you could probably have a look at what are the grand challenges that the government of Karnataka has already launched. So we're also, like I said, we're also hosting monthly startup open houses where you can meet me and my team directly. So which is again one of its kind in India. I don't think any state is so accessible or any department is so accessible in the country. So besides this, one other new thing that we are planning to do is we are also heavily focusing on media, animation, visual effects, gaming and comics verticals. So Karnataka has been the first state to recognize that the sectors in digital media like animation and visual effect occupy an increasing percentage of media budget. So currently the sector is about 7 to 9% of the total media and entertainment sector, and by 2020 AVGC will comprise approximately 15 to 18% of the total domestic Indian market. So we have also approved India's first AVGC venture fund with a total corpus of 20 crores to encourage startups in the verticals of media and entertainment. We are also floating a public-private partnership of Center of Excellence in Animation and a world-class state-of-art digital media city that will have AVGC production and post-production labs in Bangalore. The government of Karnataka is constantly striving to provide the best environment for startups and established players by listening to them and involving all the stakeholders of the ecosystem. Our policies are based on their inputs, and so is our direction. Karnataka is future ready, and I suggest that all those of you who are here from other cities should just come over to Karnataka, especially the startups. So all you need to do is just register. So that's why I was asking how many of you are from Karnataka. So it's not my intention that you should not go there. It's my intention to breed as many startups as I can in the ecosystem. So the idea is only if you register with a startup cell of Karnataka, I'll be able to help, or we will be able to do something. So lastly, I would like to congratulate all the Emerge 50 winners of NASSCOM, and especially the top 10 innovators, I would like to call them. And I mean, some of them, I think some of the people I met just now at a round table upstairs have done some phenomenal work, and I don't know where you get these ideas from. Somebody needs to see what they eat and drink. So otherwise, it's quite difficult the way they're thinking and the way their approach to solving a problem is. So. And I would like to end by quoting one of my favorite quotes about Bengaluru, which was quoted by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru on July 17, 1962. He said, most of the other cities of India remind one certainly of the present. certainly of the future, but essentially of the past. But Bangalore, as I said, more than any other great cities of India, is on a picture of India of the future, more especially because of the concentration of science, technology, and industries here. Most of the old cities represent the past of India, they represent history, whereas your city represents the future which we are molding, and I can imagine no greater, no fascinating task than to be in charge of a city like this, which in addition to its representations of the future is also one of the most beautiful cities in India. So the bottom line, as Pandit Nehru said, Bengaluru has always been future ready, and our policies will definitely help companies navigate through troubled times. I think that is what your theme is, right? So our policies will definitely help you navigate through troubled times, but I would also say that if the startups are fishing in troubled waters, there's nothing I can do about that. So I'm not, we are waiting, the department is pretty accessible. I'm just a call or a text away, and all I can say is that stay inspired, and I wish you all good luck, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Minister Kharge. I think, on behalf of NASSCOM, I will validate that you're the most accessible minister we've had of recent, and deep interest in the startup ecosystem. We thank you for that. I also wanted to recognize Manjula ma'am here, who's the Secretary of ITBT, and Shri, who's been working very closely with us across all our programs, and we thank you for your support.